What's up, guys? Nick G here. I'm gonna try to keep this video really short because I always end up rambling and making the video go on for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna blow through a bunch of ideas relatively fast. The point of this video is to show how in literature or storytelling, or even in this case anime and TV shows and movies, like, it's not limited to Dragon Ball Super, but this is just one example I'm using as a platform or a launch pad to give rise to a greater discussion of a greater idea. And that in this case it would be the idea of the Antichrist. And this idea is present in all kinds of movies and everything. The way I see TV shows nowadays is like a character is a symbol, and a symbol is a representation of a set of values or attributes or beliefs. And when you see characters fighting in a show, it's basically like these two ideas are arguing with each other. And there's two, I'm not trying to get people caught up in duality and stuff like that, but there's these two major presuppositions about how people are and what the appropriate path to, like, our maximum potential and ultimate peace is. And the Christ and the Antichrist would have two different answers to that question. So, yeah, you can think of God as an idea, an ideal, a goal, a belief, or a value system, or a belief system, a set of knowledge. If Christ is God in the flesh, that is a representation of the embodiment of that idea, or that goal, or that knowledge, living in accordance with it. So there's this non-physical thing that's like a set of values or an idea or a goal. And when it gets embodied by a person, now it's the Messiah. Now it's Christ. Now it's the hero. Now it's the Savior. Now it's the Redeemer. In this case, that's going to be Vegito, Goku / Vegeta, in this particular example that I'm going to show you in a second here. Just bear with me. So if you model yourself after a Christ figure, since the Christ figure embodies the God ideal, whatever that is, like you could be the Christ of marijuana, of weed. I know that sounds stupid and it's like almost blasphemous to even say that. It's just like a dumb example I'm trying to give you. Like, let's say some guy knew everything there was, or about like a mechanic. He could be the Christ of car mechanics. He's like the nicest guy. He knows everything. He's competent. He's generous. He's not conniving. Things like that. And he knows what he's doing. He could be the Christ or the hero, like the embodiment of what the ideal car mechanic would be. I know that's kind of a really brought down example, and it kind of doesn't do these ideas justice when I give a tiny example like that. But the point is, so if you model yourself after the God, or if you like Christians, if they model themselves after Jesus, they're modeling themselves after God the Father by default, because Jesus embodies God the Father to perfection. So there's not really there is a distinction to be made. They're not the same thing, but Christ is God in the flesh. The same function or idea, the same function or structure is true for the inversion of what I just told you. So the Antichrist. Zamasu in this show is representing the Antichrist. So let's play some of this clip and I'll get back to what I was talking about. Okay, so right there, he says, I have taken on the sins of mortals and the failure of gods into this body. So this is like a recognition that mortals are flawed and their failure to use their gifts and live up to their potential. And that's another way you could see God as like potential. There's also a clip that I don't have, but you can look it up for yourself. It's when Zamasu, before all this, and he's like making tea for Goasu, like the other Elder Kai guy. And he says, Master Goasu, you have said something often, to make mistakes but to learn from them is the essence of a true mortal spirit. But from what I can tell, mortals do not learn this way at all. And he's not entirely wrong. Like, how many people do you know in your life that keep making the same obvious mistake over and over again? How many times do you do that? How many times have I done that? A lot of times. And it's like staring you in the face what needs to change, but you don't do it. So obviously that begs the question, does the person actually desire that outcome? Do they actually value those things? Like if they say, oh, I want to get clean off drugs, but they keep putting themselves in situation to use the drugs, they keep lifting the, putting the needle in their own arm, like there's some complicit, like you have to give your will over to that. It's not a situation of where you have no power. You have power. You're just choosing. And I get it. We fall to temptation. Another thing, right there, we fall to temptation. Zamasu, when he's talking to Goasu, he says, mortals do not succumb to evil. They are the evil. And right there, if you have that as a bedrock foundation presupposition for what people are like, what else could Zamasu end up building off that other than like his zero mortal plan of like, let's just wipe everybody out? Because again, this is rooted in the belief that humans, or we, are flawed beyond redemption. You cannot be redeemed. So what else could you do besides die? That's what it, and again, this is like satanic ideology 101. It comes down, and again, he calls himself God. He gets to make up what right and wrong are, and ultimately he gets to decide eugenics. Who lives and who dies, and there you have it. And yeah, so he realizes that mortals don't live up to their potential. They keep making the same mistakes. And this brews a kind of resentment or hatred in him towards the common man. This is similar to some of the terms the elite or Satanists of the world have for us, such as the profane or the dead. So, the profane basically just means that which is not sacred. Or you could look at it as, and I'm not saying I'm like the most well-versed in the occult and like mysticism and just knowledge in general. Like I'm not, but I'm just doing my best. I want to put my hat in the ring. I want to put what I think I have to offer for people, and I trust in you guys to use your own discernment for when I'm being, biased or pathological or whatever. That's beside the point. Just take it or leave it. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, the profane, you could just look at it as like the stupid, the dumb, those that desire what's bad for them. They keep making the same mistake over and over again. They don't know who they are, where they are, why things are manifesting around them the way that they are, because they don't understand how reality is constructed. And that would be your thoughts, emotions, and actions individually and collectively creating a reality. And that's why in this belief system, Zamasu's belief system, it would be irresponsible. Like they flip everything. It's the inversion, the Antichrist. It's the inversion. So in this belief system, it would actually be evil of him, or irresponsible of him, of Zamasu, to give people freedom. Because if they want what's bad for them, and they keep making the same mistakes consciously, and they're idiots, and they don't want what's good, and they don't deserve life, they don't use their gifts, what are they going to do? What are they going to create with that freedom you give them? Nothing good. So why it would be evil in his mind to let you live, to let you have freedom. So this is why the Antichrist creates peace, quote unquote, because he's really just becoming the ultimate evil. I don't have time to really go super in depth to this because I'm trying to make this video relatively short, but this is why their path to peace is always through... I mean, Zamasu just wants to kill everybody, so, I mean, I guess, you know, if everybody's dead, then, you know, you don't got anything to worry about. But other methods you'll see in shows is like The Matrix or Naruto, like Infinite Tsukiyomi, or, you know, The Matrix, like a machine everyone's wired into. They basically remove all human decision-making out of the equation. It could be through deception, illusion, intimidation, force, or like Zamasu, you're just going to kill everybody. Like everybody's dying. Alright, let's play the rest of this clip before I keep rambling, and then I'll come right back. Okay, right there. The weird thing about this now is that Zamasu is crying, and Vegeto's even surprised by that. And this is just to like kind of humanize him a little bit, to make it not so... the purpose of this could display, again, like why some people turn to this... I'm going to call it the satanic mindset. I don't know if that word puts you off, like the word God puts some people off. It doesn't bother me. I can kind of read between the lines, you know. I don't care if you look at it as a real entity or a metaphorical construction of the human imagination that people came up with to describe themselves. I don't really care how you look at it. It still holds some real bearing on like where we're going and who we are, in my opinion. So he's crying, and this could show, it could mean other things too, but how pain often converts someone to this satanic mindset and constant letdown. Like, you know, and I get it, because it's like this. If you take up the role of teacher, like I'm trying to do, I'm not saying I'm the wisest guy in the world, or I know everything, or blah blah blah. You know, I'm not trying to have an ego about it. But take up the role as teacher, try to do the right thing, try to tell the truth, and yeah, you might reap some benefits of that. But a lot of the times, you're gonna realize people want to fight with you about it. Like Jesus Christ in the story got crucified. People didn't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So what does that tell you? It tells you that the people don't want it. And we really need to start reevaluating what our values are and what we care about, and start actually you know, I'm trying not to cuss either, but actually meaning it. And by meaning it, it's like when things arise, it's like you spend your money where your values are. You give your attention where your values are. You build, you know, you pick your relationships where your values are. You make people, the country makes celebrities based off where their values are. And all these things to me have meaning. Nothing is meaningless. And that's actually a hard way to live, because if things have meaning and you start seeing all this negative stuff, you're like, wow, is humanity really this bad? And I don't think so. If I did think so, I probably wouldn't even be trying to do any of this, because I don't believe people are flawed beyond redemption. I've known plenty of people that have done some horrible things, like and gotten caught up in the traps of addiction and all that, and including myself, and they've gotten themselves out of it. And that shows some hope to me. But again, the pain, the constant letdown leads people to turn to this. And you know, like, I get it. He still wants to wipe everybody out. He still wants to kill everybody. So crying or not, Vegeto's got to stop him. The hero, the real hero, has to stop him. So, you know, he can cry all he wants, and I get it, but he needs to be stopped. But the only reason I bring that up is to highlight how you have a capacity for this satanic mindset within yourself. Like, you're both of these guys. Pain, like if you lost a loved one, or you get trampled on for trying to do the right thing, yada yada yada, you might start to lean more towards this way, and to not give up on your convictions or your beliefs or your principles is the ideal thing. Like, I mean, I guess we're all going to fall short of the glory of Christ and God, or that ideal, because we're flawed people. But if we learn from our mistakes, it's okay. If we recognize things are a mistake and we actually want better for ourselves, and we actually change our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we're going to be all right. But not if we continue to have these, like, programmed, erroneous, garbage values. That, to me, I'm not into political commentary. I think there's more truth in anime and shows and movies and stories and scripture than there is in any political commentary and all this other nonsense, left, right. I don't really care for that stuff. To me, it's an issue of values. To me, it's an issue of information. It's an issue of belief systems, and value systems. So it's an issue of like God, to be honest. We need to really come back to that. One last thing before I end this video. I'm bouncing all over the place. I tried to be relatively more organized than I usually am. Like, I had some little notes, but it's not in this clip. But after this, Zamasu says everything fall beneath Zamasu. Everything fall beneath Zamasu. So, and again, that's a trademark, hallmark. If you could nutshell satanic ideology in one phrase, one sentiment, it would be the belief that you are God, that the self is God. So everything fall beneath Zamasu. There's nothing that supersedes his domain of knowledge. There's nothing outside of that. And that's the same reason he can't see that people can actually be reborn and are flawed beyond redemption. He doesn't even know what redemption is, because there's no hope. Because his words and thoughts are absolute. There's no hope. There's nothing outside of that. So when he sees people messing up, and that's partially the reason he's so powerful, because he's so sure of himself. But it also comes back to bite him, because his overconfidence is, like Luke tells Emperor Palpatine, your overconfidence is your weakness. And then Emperor Palpatine turns around and says, your faith in your friends is yours. And, dude, I'm not making this stuff up, guys. It's right in your face in every show and every movie. And it's trying to tell you something really big and really ancient. And it's not a game. Like, it's so much more meaningful, and it's so much more impactful, and it's so much more deep than, like, any political commentary could ever show you. I'm telling you. The occult. And you have people in real life, like presidents, going to places like Bohemian Grove. Look that up if you haven't heard of it. Skull and Bones. The Goddard in Switzerland, the Goddard Tunnel ceremony, the opening ceremony. If you haven't seen these things, go to the YouTube search bar, type them in, and you'll realize that people in high places take the occult and these symbols and this kind of knowledge extremely seriously, and they will act on it. And to be honest with you, to me it seems like most of the time they're aligning themselves with the Antichrist, with Satan, with Zamasu, with Vader, with Palpatine, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there's something very dangerous about everything fall beneath Zamasu, that nothing is outside of your domain of knowledge. And that's part of the reason that the internet comment section, most 99% of the time, has nothing of value to offer you. You have to swim through an ocean of garbage to find one person that actually knows how to communicate. Maybe that's too broad of a I'll say 95%, man. 5% of people will actually, act like somebody else has something that they could tell them. Most people think that nobody has anything that they could tell them. And again, that's everything fall beneath Zamasu. That's like, you don't have anything to tell me. I'm God. So, you know, and again, that level of assurance is like powerful, but I think you can have that level of assurance in your beliefs, in your convictions, in God, in doing what's right, and you don't have to put it in yourself. And that's why when I see like this nonsense of people like, Satanism just means believe in yourself, you know, it's a good religion to follow. I don't buy that. I'm sorry, I don't. You know, believe in yourself. That translates, it's not just some cutesy thing about confidence. Nobody's trying to tell you not to feel confident. You should feel confident. Okay? You can feel confident in doing what's right. You can feel confident in your abilities and all that. But you believe in yourself. What that really translates to, in my mind, and what I see actually playing out in stories, in real life, in mysticism, in the occult, in literature, in scripture, is believe in yourself means I'm God. And if you're God, you're never wrong. You can't do anything wrong. You can decide who lives and dies, and always indulge. You know, there's not, everything's relative. So, and I don't see how people can't tell that belief system could land them, that way of thinking could land them into deep, deep, deep trouble. And I've seen it. Like, that's, you know, there's like low-level Satanists, and then there's like high-level ones. Some of these low-level people that are really, you know, think it's like a cute, trendy thing to get into, and like, they're usually the dupe. Like, they think that they have nothing left to learn, but they're not even like as smart as like the real Satanists of the world. They're not as competent or as powerful, have as much resources as the real Satanists of the world. They're just, I don't know, idiots on the ground. I hope some of this makes sense to you guys. I'm telling you, go watch Naruto, go watch Star Wars, watch this. Dragon Ball Super, its writing has fallen off, in my opinion, from like the early days of Dragon Ball Z. But this arc, in my opinion, the Zamasu one, the Black Goku Black or Black Goku, whatever, was really good. 100%. It's talking about this guy that he's an Elder Kai, falls, Lucifer. You know, it's biblical, and again, people that watch this kind of stuff, and that's fine, they don't even understand how deeply meaningful it is. There's so many huge like archetypes and like so much information and all this, and people don't even realize it. And I think that's in part why the reason they like the show, whether they realize that or not. Yeah, these ideas are ancient. This story's been told a million times. And it's still being told, and the war's still going on. To me, you know, I don't know what the solution is, but the fighting of these two will hopefully bring about the true solution and the true path forward for humanity. I don't know. To me, it's like when the incorruptible becomes corrupted, or when the one who never admits he's wrong repents. It's kind of like who wins when an unstoppable force and an immovable object clash. It's like, I don't know, it's just kind of a paradox. So when the incorruptible becomes corrupted, or when the one who never admits he's wrong repents, or admits that he's wrong. That's when the war's over. I mean, that's just me thinking out loud, man. I've gone on longer than I wanted to. So thank you guys for listening. I hope this had something of use for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I an idiot? Am I just putting way too much meaning into stuff? Again, this isn't Dragon Ball Super. I think you guys can realize that I'm talking about something much bigger than that. Like I said in the beginning, I'm just using this show as a launch pad to discuss an idea that's greater. And it also might attract people who might otherwise not be interested in this kind of information to it, because, oh, Dragon Ball Super, that's cool, I like that show. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, there's nothing sinister about that. It's just me, you know, using tools to bring in an audience. So, thanks for listening, guys. I hope that was something useful. Stay tuned for more. Alright, I'm sorry, guys. One final point, little observation I wanted to make is, first of all, when he says, yes, this world, I'm comparing him to the Antichrist, right? Zamasu, you've heard of what I all just said. I'm going to put this at the end of the video, but I forgot to mention this. When he says, the world will be purified by my tears, and then he hits this little T pose, you know, that's like the crucifixion pose. The Antichrist actually feels like he's doing something for the world by getting rid of, like, you know, the cancer that is humanity. So again, he truly believes that he's doing the right thing. So it's just weird, and it's crazy to me to see that, because it's like you would really imagine it coming from Vegeta or Trunks, but here he is doing the, you know, oh, the world is punishing me for doing the right thing, sacrifice, crucifixion, T-pose thing. And again, man, I don't know if people notice that or if it goes over their heads or what. To me, it's clear as day. This whole arc was clear as day with all this kind of stuff. Again, in Trunks, like how I was talking about, he, like Luke, he says your overconfidence is your weakness to Palpatine. Palpatine turns around and says your faith in your friends is yours. Trunks draws upon, if you've seen the ending of this show or this arc, how this guy gets defeated is Trunks it's kind of like the spirit bomb Goku uses. He takes energy from all the people on the planet and they give it to Trunks and they're all cheering him on, and he becomes more powerful because he knows he has something to protect. He becomes more powerful because of his faith in his friends and doing the right thing and in God. And I know that's kind of corny, man, but like that's really what we need to do if we're going to save the planet, in my opinion, and not be slaves. This is real. Like, if you don't know what the New World Order is, if you don't know what that sort of thing, to me, the Illuminati, in my opinion, that stuff is very real. It is happening. Like I said, look up those rituals that are on video. You can watch them yourself for how much people in power believe in the occult and all that, and these rituals and these symbols are reflective of the belief systems that they have. Whether or not they're actually calling upon real demons, like literal demons, doesn't make a huge difference to me, because they're still showing you what their belief system is, and they're still showing that they're willing to act upon it. So, and of course, you know, Trunks becomes the Christ figure, at least for a moment, and he vanquishes the threat. So, yeah, this was a really good series of episodes from Dragon Ball Super, in my opinion. Thank you guys for watching. That's the last thing that I wanted to add. Hope there was something useful for you. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be doing more things like this from TV shows and movies. So, thank you.